Okay, so we have two more of the shorter poems that make up part of Brown Girl Dreaming. Again, we're just reading part of Brown Girl Dreaming, not the whole thing. So let's go back and we're going to try to get both of these done in the same video pretty quickly. And then we can move on with doing some other things with this really cool story that we've been reading in verse form. But we're really learning a lot about our narrator and how she feels about things, how she feels about her move, how she feels about her family, especially her sister and her uncle. So now we're on wishes. When he takes us to the park, Uncle Robert tells us if you catch a dandelion puff, you can make a wish. Anything you want will come true, he says. We chase the feathery wishes around swings, beneath sliding boards until we can hold them in our hands, close our eyes tight, whisper our dream, then set it floating out into the universe, hoping our uncle is telling the truth, hoping each thing we wish for will one day come true. So I've got one stanza and it's called Wishes. And I drew a dandelion, so I had that imagery in my head, and now they're talking about the dandelion and how you blow on it and you make a wish. So my image actually has come true. But there's this feathery, it's floating, you shut your eyes tight, the imagery makes me feel like I'm right there, that I'm in a park where there's dandelions that have turned into that puff and spread their seeds, and you can blow on them and make a wish. And I grew up doing that, so that's very familiar to me, and I like the imagery and the words like feathery and light and making that wish. So our final poem is called Believing. So we've talked about all of these things. We've talked about Brooklyn Rain, Another Way, and that was where they were playing all the games. Gifted, where she talks about her sister. We've talked about Sometimes, and that was about kind of, she has a difficult family life and she lies about like her situation with her father, but her sister kind of gently tells the truth. We talked about Uncle Robert, who is very exciting and blows in the middle of the night bearing all these cool gifts. And then we talked about wishes, and now finally we're at believing. So think about everything that has led us to this poem. The stories start like this. Jack and Jill went up a hill, my father sings. I went up a hill yesterday, I said. I say, what hill? In the park. What park? Halsey Park. Who was with you? Nobody. But you're not allowed to go to the park without anyone. I just did. Maybe you dreamed it, my uncle says. No, I really went. And my uncle likes the stories that I'm making up. Okay? So actually there's a break there and then there's a break there. So that's kind of important. So even though this is dialogue, so you're still using the italics for dialogue, even though it doesn't say in every single one who's speaking, I know that they're going back and forth. Like I can tell in my close reading, and you may have to read it a few times, that they're going back and forth. And that's two different voices speaking. It's our narrator's voice, who says, I went up a hill yesterday, and that says it's her, and then it's the uncle's voice. What hill? In the park. What park? Halsey Park. Who was with you? Nobody. But you're not allowed to go to the park. Okay? So we know it's going back and forth. We know it's dialogue. And then there's a little break, and then it says, my uncle likes the stories I'm making up. And so, if you haven't figured this out, our narrator is making up stories. That's not the best thing to do. I'm plugging in over here. So I got a battery alert. Okay. Whoop. Okay. Still going. We're still here. All right. My uncle likes the story I'm making up. So she doesn't use the word lie. She says making up. That's interesting. Is she lying or is she making it up? Is she creative? I don't think most people who tell a lie would say, I'm a liar. But they might say, I'm making it up. All right. Along came a spider and sat down beside her. I got bit by a spider, I say. When? The other day. Where? Right on my foot. Show us. It's gone now. Okay? So that seems like another made-up creative little story. But my mother accuses me of lying. If you lie, she says, one day you'll steal. I won't steal. It's hard to understand how one leads to another, how stories could ever make us criminals. It's hard to understand the way my brain works, so different from everybody around me. How each new story I'm told becomes a thing that happens. So she's saying she hears a story and it becomes real. Okay? How each new story I'm told becomes a thing that happens in some other way to me. She's got a big imagination. Keep making up stories, my uncle says. You're lying, my mother says. So those contradict each other. They're opposites. Uncle is encouraging and mother is like, cut it out. That is lying. Maybe the truth is somewhere in between all that I'm told and memory. Okay, so that's a powerful statement. So you have uncle saying one thing, mother saying another thing, and then her final statement, that what we're left with, is that maybe the truth is somewhere in between, like what she's hearing and her memories. All right. We have another close read in lines 23 through 38. So you can look and there's lines. So 23 to 38, all that part. And it says, mark the words that show how the poet's mother reacts to her stories, then mark the words that show how her uncle reacts. And we talked about that, but these again are good stopping points. If you're like, I don't know where to start annotating, I don't know what to do. Look at these and follow the annotation directions, the questions, and the conclusions, and you'll be doing pretty well. All right. Thanks a lot. We got through this longer. It's still a short piece. It's not like a novel or something, but it's much, much longer than our mentor text. So we got through it all, and I'm very proud of you. And let's see what we're going to do with this story next.